Okay, welcome to the next installment of our Oscar reaction video. We're doing these just to kind of react to our thoughts after the Oscar nominees have been announced, but before the show.
So in this one we're going to be talking about Best Director. So the nominees are Scorsese for The Irishman, Mendes for 1917, Bong for Parasite, Phillips for Joker, and Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It's hard to judge Best Director, I feel.
I definitely agree with that. In my eyes, the director is in charge of every part of the production of the film, right? So I don't understand how you can decide who's the best director separately from what's the best picture.
Yeah.
And I never have understood that. The only thing that would make sense to me is if you were there on every single one of the sets and you saw the way the director was interacting with other people, because that's really what makes a good director in my eyes, is someone who can communicate well with other people and bring a whole vision to life.
And I think you're touching on, like, one of the actual major issues with most of these awards is a lot of people just haven't even seen the movie. A lot of the voters are just going off of, like, reputation, and maybe they have seen the movie, maybe they liked it, but they, you know, how much of, especially, like, I would say 1917 is the one that, how much of that is the editor? How much of that is the DP that makes it kind of a cool project instead of just...
Right.
You know, how much credit do you give the director for the end product? I think is a question, especially if you weren't there.
Because the director's just there to make sure everyone is doing their job and that everything is working together and fitting together and to answer questions people have. They're not there to I don't know, like, it's so hard to separate them from any other aspect of production.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah. Which, and I would say that's true for other categories as well, like editor. I mean, how it was the editor editing by themselves? Was the director, like, over the editor's shoulder, like, do this, do this, do this? It's hard to really know after the fact.
Or even acting. Like, was that actually the person doing a good job acting, or did the editor have to sift through so many bad takes to find, like, the one moment where you're doing a decent job? You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard to separate these things into categories at all, but I think directing is one of the hardest. So that being said, I do think that there was a huge, major snub in this category. Greta Gerwig deserved a Best Director nomination. With her, I can see how she would be a Best Director because I can see her vision. I can see how it changed from any other adaptation of Little Women that there is. She was the one who took the story, she adapted it for the screen, she changed so many elements, she changed how you see the plot unfold, and it made it resonate so much better. And I think that if we look at the Best Director category as who had the best vision, it's Greta Gerwig. I think she should have been nominated, and I think she should win.
So I've seen Little Women, but I showed up to my screening late. I got there before the film started, but I got there near the end of the credits, and it was opening weekend. I think it was opening weekend, or it was a holiday or something. It was busy, so I was sitting in, like, the bottom corner of the theater. So I was looking up at the corner of the screen, and so I want to see it again, where I can actually focus on, like, the story instead of just, like.
And I will say it does help if you already know the story of Little Women.
I was kind of confused, but I think part of that was I was spending so much time in my brain decoding, like, because the theater I was at, the screen had a curve to it, and, like, so I was spending time decoding, like, distances between people, and, like, it was a weird scenario for me, so I definitely want to see it again before I announce my official opinion on that. My snub for this category would actually be Greta Gerwig's boyfriend, Noah Baumbach.
That's awkward.
That is awkward. For Marriage Story. Just because I thought Marriage Story was a very real human take on people stuck in an uncomfortable scenario. Neither of them really want to be there. They both just kind of want to get it over with. And then other people start interfering, and it was a really good kind of drama about people, and even though, like, the events in the film are negative largely, it still felt very human. It didn't drag into, like, melodrama. There wasn't a bunch of, like, oh, woe is me moments.
Right.
They were just trying to survive and maintain a sense of normalcy, and I really liked that.
And
in his
it
movie.
must be very difficult for him because it's based on his actual life.
His actual divorce with his ex-wife.
Mhm.
I wonder if Greta Gerwig's seen it.
I'm sure she's
I'm sure she
seen
has,
it.
but what does she think about it?
She's probably like, Who do you think should win out of these people?
I'll give it to Bong Joon-ho for Parasite,
Mm-hmm.
just because it was so unique. It was such a controlled vision of the story, the way the camera like moves through the house and reveals things. It really was just phenomenal. It was a movie unlike really anything I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would give it to Bong Joon-ho for directing,
Okay.
just because it was so creative, and I think he co-wrote it as well. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of credit to him.
Yeah, definitely. I think Greta Gerwig should win. I know she's not nominated, but I think she should win.
Bethany doesn't like this category.
No.
I think
I mean, I think it would be ridiculous to not have this category, but I think it should be linked with Best Picture
somehow. Yeah.
I don't have all the answers. I just know that it's incredibly difficult for me to pick one.
I feel like Scorsese and Tarantino
Are mostly
are just there on their reputation.
Yeah, because people know their name.
I didn't think their movies were that good. They were definitely accomplishments. I mean, Scorsese with the 3-hour-long nature of this epic story, and then Tarantino with all the set decoration and really like remaking, what was it, the 60s?
I don't know.
In Hollywood, because a lot of the
Yeah, I
stuff
think
on those
so.
sets was there.
Yeah, I
It
think
wasn't CGI
I think it might have
environments.
even been in the 70s.
Early 70s?
I'm not
Okay,
sure.
I don't know. But the jump in time was very good in that movie. But yeah, I feel like Scorsese and Tarantino are there just on their name recognition and their reputation. Not that their movies were bad, but they're not Best Picture level.
And I do think sometimes the Oscars just gives awards to people because they
They're
like
famous.
the people. Yeah.
I agree with that.
And I personally think it should be based more on quality of work.
Yeah, and then that, there's only 5 spots, so that screws over new people or, Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. I would say
Greta Gerwig was nominated for Lady Bird, though, so it's not like she's never been nominated
She was.
for
She got
Best
it.
Director. I just think she should be nominated again.
She got it, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
She didn't win.
No, but she was nominated.
She was nominated.
And also just, kind of pushes out a lot of new people, which is a bummer for director.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a category where it would be easier to recognize somebody who's kind of new to the game and go, wow, look at what this person pulled off.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of a bummer.
It's disappointing.
I hope Bong Joon-ho wins for Parasite, just because so often I don't think a foreign language film has ever won. Or it won... Roma won last year.
For Best Director.
For Best Director, which is understandable.
Which was deserved.
That was good.
That was much more deserved
That
than
was
Green
good.
Book winning Best Picture.
But I would like to see the Oscars do more international, non-English language films.
Me as well.
Because Parasite really was excellent.
Oh my god.
I need to see it again.
Me too.
Okay.
Right?
That's for director? Yep.
Bye.